So the complete flow, you have two source systems, Oracle database, SQL Server, and then you have join between them based on the common field, and you're inserting that into your target table. Okay, that's the brief overview of what data integration is and what ETL tool is about. Now, that's for the developer track. I'll start with the admin part of it now. Now, for everybody, what is the difference between developer track and admin track? Usually, in a project scenario, let's say we are in a project, everybody except Venkat is termed as a developer. Venkat is only the administrator here. What are his roles and responsibilities, and what are the roles and responsibilities of a developer? A developer will take the requirements from the business, from the users, okay, or reads the documents which the business gives as requirement, analyze it, create a design document, design that within the Informatica using the code, okay, and migrate that into the next environments to see if the data is getting populated. Now, that's all developer track. Now, what does Venkat do? Now, for you to start working on the system should be ready. You should have access, and you should be able to have you should be able to control the system performance with all the architectural benefits with Informatica can give with its latest architecture and deployment. When you I'm not sure what happened, but it automatically went to mute. Okay, what was the last sentence you were able to hear? I'll repeat from there. That's okay. Migration. Now, for migration, not every project will have a separate developer or person assigned to do the migration. Sometimes as a senior developer you have to do it, or the admin have to do it. Okay, now that's the basic roles and responsibilities. Now I'll talk more on the admin level activities. Let's say we are on version 8.6. okay, now Rajneesh, who is the business, for example, wants to are you able to hear me now, guys? How about Rajneesh? Are you able to hear now? Yeah, Rajneesh is not able to for some reason. Rajneesh, are you able to hear me? Sorry if I'm talking too loud for somebody who's able to hear. I'm just trying to reach Rajneesh. Rajneesh, are you there? Okay, anyways, let me continue. So let's say Rajneesh is the business, and he wants to use the latest feature, which is the Hadoop big data movement, and we want to migrate it from 8.6 to 9.5. Now, obviously, when we are migrating it, it is cost involved. Now we need to show why do we need to migrate from one version to another version to the business to get the approval for that amount, to pay for the license, to pay for the resources who's working on it, and what is the impact to the business? Who does all this? The administrator will be the single point of contact to get all this information. Okay, first question, do the business need Hadoop? Do we have such huge volumes of data? What is the total number of records which we are processing per day in a batch? Okay, that's first question. Number two, can our infrastructure hold the next version? Which means, now obviously every software have some basic hardware requirements, 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, 2 GB hard disk, 10 GB hard disk. So will the infrastructure setup which the project has right now, is it the same with everyone or it's only with Rajneesh? Okay, I'm not sure if he is able to hear me. Please. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. So going back to the discussion, yeah, will the current infrastructure hold the next version? Number two, who will give that information? It should be the admin. Number three, if we migrated, what are the steps which we have to take care? For example, let's say we have something called as transformations within Informatica. Okay, there is a new feature within a transformation. Now, when you migrate your old code to the latest version, will it behave the same way as it is working right now? Because if you have a list of jobs, let's say 2,000 jobs which are running per day, are these running this, or will this run the same way in the latest version? Would there be any impact? Should the business be informed about it? Will there be any problem when we move from this migration to the next level of version? If yes, what are the problems? How do we fix them? What are the estimated efforts required for that? If not, how much time does it take for us to migrate from 8.6 to the next version? So every detailed information or every step which we need to do has to be done by the administrator. Okay, now this is the migration part of it. Okay, now let's say there is a process. Okay, this process is called workflow within Informatica, whoever is new. The workflow or the process, let's assume it is processing 10 million records. Okay, and it was running fine till yesterday, and suddenly from today it started taking 6 hours of time instead of 2 hours to process the same amount of records. As a developer, you did all your analysis which you could not figure out, so you have to obviously reach out to the administrator to figure out if he can find something at the server level. Okay, now again there you need the administrator. So that's one of the roles and responsibilities of the administrator, to see the code is running within this performance tuned time. Okay, which means the administrator also should be aware of basic developing knowledge and the best practices which should be used for coding the data, for performing the code. Okay, that's at the developer level. Number two. That's the number two. Number three is deployment activities. If you have to migrate, let's say you are a big team with globally spread team with 50 developers. and everybody is working on their own streams, there should be someone who should be keeping a tab on the dependencies. Now let's say the process which you're working on, and it's the same process which I'm working on from India. Okay, I'm not aware what you're doing and you are not aware what I'm doing on the same process. It gets migrated and it shows up in your production environment. Then everybody, there will be fireworks all around, escalations, client shouting, your manager shouting, and all that. So the changes or the migration activities should be kept at a tap. Now it's not only the admin's job to do this, it should happen at every level. Your requirement engineer, whoever is taking it, should make sure that there is no overlap. As a developer, you also have to make sure that you're not overwriting the access code. As a tester, QA, whoever is doing the ETL testing, they should also make sure that it is not conflicting with any other change. And at the end, the administrator should also make sure if he is doing the deployment. If not, it doesn't matter. Number 3, sorry, that's number 3. Number 4, the other major task is system maintenance. Your session logs, workflow logs, tuning your hardware capabilities, and things like that. Okay, now going back to the step where we spoke about migration from one environment to the other environment. Now the admin should be well versed with the installation process. Okay, because client installation is pretty straightforward. You just have to keep on clicking next till you get the end button, finish button. But for the server, you have a lot of configurations to be done. Okay, from the beginning you have to do the node, domain, integration service, repository service. For others, if it's new, we'll talk about all this in your architecture session. Okay, so all these services. Let's forget about moving to the latest version. Let's say the admin has done the analysis and said and declared that Hadoop is of no use right now. We might need it in the next 5 years. But for now, to do the better performance of the data, we need to use XMLs. What are XMLs? What are the different ways you can use XMLs? All that should be aware. He should be aware. What are the services which needs to be created if XML should be read? What are the services which needs to be disabled, enabled, and things like that? And within the admin track course, I would also show you how to create the services for Informatica data quality. Informatica data quality is another tool just like Power Center, which has more capabilities than Power Center for doing your profiling, data profiling. What is data profiling? Data profiling is nothing but examining the data before you load it into the warehouse to see how much percentage of the data is accurate. Okay, now based on the accuracy only, you can load the data into the warehouse. Let's go back to the example where you have the account number, amount, name of the customer, and a couple of other attributes. Okay, now if I directly start my Informatica Power Center process, immaterial of what is there in the source system, it will go through the transformation rules or the business validations and loads the data into the warehouse. Maybe if none of the validation rules are matching, it might load nulls into your warehouse tables. Right? Now, you have decided that when you see the data in the warehouse, you see all null values, which is of no value add to you, right? Now there should be a process which checks if the file has better records. If the file is 70% good, only then process the file. Okay, let's say there are 100 records. 70 of them match your validation criteria. Then process the file, else reject it. Okay, let's say that's a requirement. Then you can do the profiling at the IDQ level and pass on that information to your Power Center, which is your designer. Now, what is the difference between IDQ and Power Center? Can't we do the same thing in Power Center? Yes, we can do. We can restrict the file not to be loaded to the data warehouse if it's not good. But IDQ, Informatica Data Quality, the setup or the steps or the rules can be written by business users. They don't have to know what Informatica is. They don't have to know the components of Informatica. There is a web tool with which they can log into that. Just like in Excel, they can operate it. It is very straightforward and simple. And write rules on it. And let's say I'm the business and you're the developer. I write a rule and say, this is the rule I want to be in place every day the file is processed. Okay, I'll give the rule name, rule ABC. As a developer, you log into IDQ, see rule ABC, and convert that into your object in your Informatica. Okay, which means a simple click from the business user can create a rule in your design, and you can use that as a component in your runtime every day. So it is just to give the business the power to handle the data or do the transformation and validations or apply rules to the data from the business perspective as well. And the developer can read the rule just with a couple of clicks. He can convert that into a component which Informatica can use, and that can be encrypted or encapsulated into the whole process to load the data. That's the IDQ part of it. Okay, so I'll also explain you there are three main services for those to be accepted, for those to be let me quickly show you those. Okay, this is the quick overview. You don't have IDQ here, but I will show the rest of the services. For Power Center, only these two would suffice. Okay, these ones, the ones which I'm marking now, are the ones which are additional. Okay, if you want to have, if your Informatica should be, can you see it now, Sandeep? Okay, if you want Informatica to be able to read the data from the web pages, okay, then you have to configure web services. If you want to read it from SAP BW, what are the steps which you need to do the configuration, reporting service, metadata service, all this. So there are multiple services which Informatica has. Informatica operates on SOA architecture. SOA is this service-oriented architecture. It's nothing but there will be multiple services. Each service has its own job, and it is one of the jobs of this service to help the other service to fulfill its job. I know it's confusing, I'll repeat it. Each service has its own functionality. Apart from serving its own functionality, it should also help other services to fulfill their functionality. Okay, so you have a list of services. The ones which you see here are the ones which are required for Power Center. You have a whole list. If you have IDQ, if you have Power Exchange, if you have data replication, and all those. We might not talk about everything, but I'll show you as all the services configuration. whichever my license accepts. I have all this demo, sorry, all the development, your installation, everything will be done on 901 and 910. You have two versions. We can do that in either of this. And for the admin track, the installation would happen on both Windows system, Unix system. If you have the Unix machine, I can show it to you directly on your machine, Venkat, on how to do the Unix installation and configuration also on Unix. If you do not, then I have to set up one for the VM, and I'll show the steps to you on how to do that. And let me quickly open this, not this. I just wanted to show the okay, let me go to the website directly. Okay, so just wanted to show the course content here. So version control is one of the other important topics, and then the access restrictions on how it should be given. How do you integrate that with your LDAP, single sign-on? What is grid? How do you enable grid? How do you connect to multiple nodes? And what is high availability? How to figure out if some process is not working from the admin level and all that. Okay, all those will be explained to you and shown literally. Rajneesh, see, on the Unix box, I'll show you how to install Informatica. Okay, if feasible, if I can make the environment ready, I'll show you the upgrade process, the configuring of the services, and deployment. Okay, if you have Windows 7 Home Premium, it doesn't work either for developer track or admin track. You need to have anything above Home Premium, which is Professional, Ultimate, or Enterprise Edition. Okay, and you cannot install Unix on Windows 7. You can get it onto the XP mode, but you cannot do it on Unix. But you can partition your hard disk and do the Unix installation on the other one. From BISP and from me, you'll get support on installing Informatica, but not getting the system ready with the environment. For example, if you want to build a Unix system, you have to build it. You have to install a database on it. After that, I'll give you 200% support on how to get the Informatica up and running on that system. Okay. Venkat, by any chance, do you have the Unix machine which you can control? Okay, then I have to show that on a VM. I have to get the Unix VM box, and I'll have to show that to you. Informatica software, I'll show it to you on how to download. It is legal. There is no illegal download. If anybody is out of India, don't worry about the downloads. I'll tell you the steps on how to download, and you'll also get a document. Get a document on how to do the installation. We can do that, Rajnish. Yes. It's a daily course. Can you ask questions to everybody, all entire audience, so that everybody will be aware? Okay, guys, that's about it. Venkat, do you have any specific questions? I mean, is it the one which you're looking for, or are you looking for anything else? Let's be clear on what is there and what's not, so that either I'll not have any surprises and you'll not have any surprises once we start. Yeah, I'm asking about the admin track. Rajnish, if you have Windows 7 Professional, you don't need a VM, especially for the developer track. You can directly install it on Windows 7. But if you're looking for Unix or Linux, you should be able to get the VM software installed, and then the Unix or Linux OS on top of it, and then yes, we can do the installation. And for both, by the end of the sessions, for both of the batches, it will be a combined session for performance tuning. So you might have to stretch your timings for 2 days or 3 days to understand the performance topics. That will be very detailed at the developer level, which is also required for admins, to the scenario which I was explaining, that you might have to give your suggestions to improve the performance. Okay, any other questions? Timings, please consult back to Kapil once, he'll confirm that. See, the timings can be between 7 to 9 a.m. IST. Okay, now which one falls in which hour bucket, that Kapil will decide based on the enrollments. So you have to drop a mail to him. Okay, guys, if no questions, we can call it a day. Have a good weekend, and we'll meet again. Yep, please go ahead. Mm-hmm.